So, Rogue One has been released. It's currently 9:30 at the time of recording this in Australia, which is where I am. And Rogue One's been out for about 5.5 hours. I've done a bit of testing. I actually recorded a video before this, but the audio got scuffed, so I'm re-recording it. But I'm basically just going to go over the matchup against Leviathan without Scimitar, because I'm pretty sure no one in my fleet shard, either A, no one in my fleet shard runs Scimitar, or B, Scimitar's a really low reinforcement priority, so I've never seen them reinforce it, but I don't know which one's the case. So, I've seen a lot of people struggle with the matchup. So I just want to make it clear as to how to go about it. The main way you beat Leviathan is resisting debuffs, because if they sabotage, the way Leviathan hits its ult is you have to have sabotaged the hangars and sabotage the engines. Turn 1, Leviathan will always sabotage the engines. And then turn 2, they reinforce. And this reinforcement doesn't really matter unless it's Scimitar, but I don't have that issue in my shard. And then by turn 3, they want to sabotage the hangars, but they can only do this if they inflict 15 debuffs using their ships. So, using I can't speak. Debuffs inflicted by the capital ship and by like abilities such as like this one, enemies get dazed when they reinforce. That doesn't count. So it has to be 15 debuffs. One problem that a lot of people might be having is using Ghost in the starting lineup, which do not do, because the way Ghost works is anytime your team resists a debuff, which in this case there's a lot of debuffs coming from Leviathan. Anytime your team resists a debuff, Ghost inflicts the enemies with speed down, which you think is great, except the way it's coded is that the enemies inflict themselves with speed down, and this counts towards those 15 debuffs. So don't use Ghost. Ghost is a no-no. Anyway, once they hit sabotage the hangars, you basically lose. Oh, that's a lie. That's a lie. There's a lot of cases where you lose though, and it will lead to them hitting the ult. So you want to avoid getting debuffs inflicted on you, but you want just enough debuffs in most cases that they don't reinforce with the Mark 6 interceptor. I don't know why I'm showing it to you like this, Wes. I know this guy always runs Mark 6 in his opening, because Mark 6, when it gets reinforced in, it gains 50. It gets to 50 stacks of Devouring Swarm, which is just how its health works. It doesn't have a health bar. Well, it does, but each one is 1 HP, and it loses stacks whenever it takes damage. But it can instantly defeat an enemy upon being reinforced because it gets 50 stacks. So, if that targets your Outrider, then you just lose straight up. You just lose on the spot. Or not always, but in most cases you'll lose on the spot if you haven't hit ult yet, because the only way you can get download in this battle after the Leviathan buff is from critical hits due to Outrider, and also spamming emergency repairs. Profundity's abilities also give a little bit of download, but they're not as important. This might be really bad. Here, I think I just lose. Great. So that's a loss. I didn't expect that. That was really funny. Right as I was talking about, yeah, so if they don't land enough debuffs and they reinforce with Mark 6, they'll just one-tap your Outrider and you'll lose. And that's exactly what happened. Could have avoided it if they hadn't landed the shock. If they'd shocked, like, basic on anyone else, I could have used Profundity's second special and given him stealth, which meant they wouldn't have been able to one-tap my Outrider. So that's another line where they can lose, I guess. What ranks is this guy's stuff? Yeah, it's the exact same. Is it? Yeah. All right. Let's attempt number 2, and I'll hopefully not get any bad RNG. That was my first loss with this strat, by the way, that you just saw. So start Profundity Basic, passing the turn to Outrider. You need a 7-star Profundity for this. The Profundity Basic does not give a bonus turn if it's less than 7 stars. Then you just click the second special, 20% 20% upload, or download rather, and tenacity up and speed up to the whole team, which is nice. I just use Hans Millennium Falcon Basic. Use the Y-Wing first special because it reapplies Taunt to himself. Otherwise, if you use the basic, he loses Taunt and someone else gets isolated, which you don't want. Here it's fine so far. Good dodge, but it didn't matter. Here I always use the first special when it's available because it's 5 critical hits almost all the time, which is 10% download because 2% per critical hit. I'm just going to Hans Millennium Falcon Basic. They bring in the fighter. That doesn't matter. We bring in Rogue One. Sorry, I was adjusting my microphone. And then click Spoofed Clearance Codes, Special 2. Then we click Outriders Special 2 immediately after, up to 66%. I'm going to... This doesn't really matter. I'm going to just basic here. That's good RNG. They didn't land any debuffs. I mean, it's fine RNG. I'm going to use laser cannons, the Outrider Basic on TIE Dagger because the bomber isn't taunting. This is just because I want it to land critical hits. It dodged anyway, so that didn't matter. I am going to do the same here. I'm going to use Rogue One Basic here to try and get some critical hits. I didn't hit any critical hits anyway. This is really bad. I'm getting the exact same thing happening again. Ooh, but this time, Sith Fighter landed an extra debuff, so it all got cleansed by Han's Millennium Falcon. That's cool. Here, I'm going to click the Rebel second... Outrider takes a turn first. Okay, so I'm going to pass a turn to the Rogue One and click Spoofed Clearance Codes. Use Hans Falcon Basic, and then I'm going to Emergency Repairs. This reinforcement might be annoying. Took out Hans Millennium Falcon. So typically, Hans Millennium Falcon's the one that gets taken out by that insta-kill. Millennium Falcon seems to have a higher target priority, but sometimes it just goes for Outrider. I don't know why. It just sometimes does. Here, I thankfully landed the shield disruption on Bomber, and Profundity means that we always crit against enemies with shield disruption, except for there, apparently. Concealed concussion mines should crit enough times to get us over. Perfect. I only have 1:10 left, so I'm going to hit the ultimate. And here you can kind of just spam abilities now. It shouldn't matter too much. I'm just not really going to talk here to try and... I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm already rank 1. Here, let's just do some cooldown reductions. I'm going to bring in Cassian's U-Wing to dispel all the enemy buffs. This is only because they didn't sabotage the hangars, which you'd know if they have a little blue like explosion buff here. I wouldn't always do this. I'm going to attack here. Just like throw some abilities around. I should still win in the next 30 seconds. 30 seconds is a lot of time, unless they get some really good dodges. I'm just doing this to clear some foresight, because I really want to kill... I really want to kill Sith Fighter, because it's really annoying with its giving foresight to the whole team. I'm going to run out of time here, I think. I'm going to run out of time here. Ooh, unless... Okay. If you followed my instructions, we would have had enough time. If I had literally another 10 seconds and hadn't stalled just yapping, we would have had enough time, as you can see. So that's typically how you do it. If Outrider didn't get the buffs cleansed, that would have been a lot more awkward. I probably would have... used a basic on Outrider, use Profundity basic, pass the turn to Outrider, and so Outrider takes turn and loses all the debuffs, but I'm not... Oh, then again, it gets shocked for 2 turns. I'm not sure. That's another intuitive thing. Maybe I could have reinforced... Probably would have reinforced with Cassian's U-Wing, and use Cassian's U-Wing third special? That's Biston's U-Wing. Probably would have used Cassian's U-Wing, this one, to cleanse the debuffs and stealth Outrider. Otherwise, I hope this helps. I gave a couple tips on how to... things to avoid, things to look out for. I'm really worried that Leviathan's going to get buffed, because this counter is actually really easy, even though I did time out. It's actually a really easy counter. I'm just chronic yapper. So I wish you guys the best in your climbing. CG, please do not buff Leviathan. I'm really happy with how this is. If anything, nerf how Rogue One performs against Executor, because Executor's kind of been put into the pooper now. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for your... I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Enjoy, guys.